everybody. I'm Rami Kaldas, Dr. Kaldas, and thank you for joining us for our Facebook Live question and answer session at the Kalda Center. And I'm here tonight with a special guest, Kimberly Kim Stager from Nutritional Healing, the founder and owner of Nutritional Healing, and we are looking forward to answering your questions today. It's a new year, a new decade, the time we're all thinking about making resolutions, getting more sleep and eating better. This year we want to help you make a lasting resolution to take charge of your reproductive health. Today we'll be talking about infertility and the role of nutrition in that. That includes polycystic ovaries and polycystic ovary syndrome, as well as endometriosis, which we all know have big impacts on fertility. However, please feel free to ask any women's health questions, and I'm sure that either Kim or myself will take a good shot at answering them intelligently. Thank you for everyone who submitted questions on Facebook already. If you have not sent a question in yet, go ahead and post it on Facebook Live, and we will do our best to answer it today. If you would like to submit an anonymous question, please reach out using Facebook Messenger and indicate that you'd like to share your question anonymously. We very much welcome that. We don't want anyone to feel embarrassed. We want you to be part of this conversation. Before we begin, a reminder that this question and answer session is meant to be for informational purposes only. If you have serious health concerns, please consult your physician or call the Kalda Center and make an appointment. And certainly, if you have nutritional questions or weight loss questions, then by all means call Nutritional Healing LLC, which is at 920-358-5764. We'd love to speak with you. And if you would like to contact us at the Kalda Center, just go to our website, kaldacenter.com, or call us at 920-886-2299. Remember, no referral is ever needed to visit the Kalda Center. So, from Joanna comes our first question. Could diet promote or prevent endometriosis recurrence? Well, thank you, Joanna. Fundamentally, endometriosis has a very strong genetic component. And so your diet is not going to cause endometriosis or completely prevent it, like keep you from getting it. There's a strong autoimmune component also though, and therefore diet can have a big impact on the symptoms and expression of endometriosis as a disease. So it can make your life way better. So I'll hand it over to Kim and get her insight on this.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, it is a very genetic component with endometriosis and an autoimmune condition. So what is pouring gasoline on the fire for you for that autoimmune condition is what we normally, will ask our patients and try to get to the root cause of. And it's going to be different for one person to the next person. So we try to promote an anti-inflammatory diet. So there are some general things that we can look at for an anti-inflammatory diet. But then also, if you've been trying a lot of those and not seeing results, it's great to try and do a specific food sensitivity test to really get to the root cause of your specific inflammation. As you mentioned, it's not like it's going away, but you can't, you can find ways to not express those symptoms as severely.
Right, and bringing home the point that it is an autoimmune disease with a lot of inflammation going on is that when you have endometriosis, you have 5 times the likelihood in your lifetime of having rheumatoid arthritis. And we all know what an impact diet can have on symptoms of arthritis. Thank you, Joanna, for that question. The next question is from Olivia. I was diagnosed with PCOS a year ago. It was a relief to know what has likely been causing my infertility. But since then, my husband and I have gone through several IUIs and 1 round of IVF with no luck. Sorry for that, Olivia. We're active, average weight. The only thing we haven't really considered is diet. Are there certain foods we should be eating or avoiding to set us up for success? Well, that is right up your alley, Kim.
It sounds like a nutrition question. Again, PCOS, there's a lot of inflammation going on there for people. And there are some general guidelines that you can look at for diet. So let's talk about what we can do for PCOS. Again, we're going to look at an anti-inflammatory diet. Very specifically, you can look at what food sensitivities are causing inflammation, because sometimes even healthy foods can cause someone mild, moderate, or severe inflammation. So you don't want to be doing that every day, because a little bit of poison is still poison for the body. But thinking about things, since we are looking at this being maybe connected to a metabolically off syndrome, you want to balance your blood sugar and make sure you're eating well and eating often throughout the day. So not doing that, what we call a sumo wrestler diet of just breakfast and then just supper. But that's how you gain weight. That's how you eat just 2 meals a day, and that's metabolically disruptive for your body. You want to eat fruits and vegetables too. Think about all the different colors of the rainbow, a little bit of everything, and also that fiber is so important. And then reducing grains, not carbohydrates. We're not advocates of low-carb diets whatsoever, but think about grains such as cereal, cookies, crackers, bread, buns, wraps, shells. Most of the food we're eating is coming in a transport system of a grain, and those mess with your blood sugar and thus insulin resistant promotion. Whether you are healthy weight or overweight, that's still something you want to look out for. Increase the amount of protein. Again, we're not an overly abundant protein diet advocate, but protein balances your blood sugar and keeps you full. And last but not least, if we're thinking at what not to do, eliminating those processed sugars, those processed foods, because most of those are just science projects. When you read that ingredient label, you want to know what you're putting into your body. And if there are a bunch of words on there that you can't pronounce, you probably, your body won't know what that is either.
What insight. Thank you, Kim. And I love it when you said a little bit of poison is still poison. And when you read a label and on this low carb diet, and they're replacing the carbs with these things that no one knows what they are except the chemist, that's fantastic. Thank you for that question, Olivia, and sharing it with our audience. From Natalie, my fiance and I are getting married this summer and would like to start a family right away. We're both overweight, so we're using the wedding as motivation to get in better shape together and make some dietary changes. First of all, congratulations, Natalie. With stressful jobs, we've mostly been eating on the go and getting takeout for the last year. Yowza. Do you have any tips for making it easier to eat nutritiously so we can stick with it and start the baby making process from a healthy place? Bravo, Natalie. Hey, I'm gonna ask Kim to answer this question because she knows, I'm sure, where to find the right stuff.
Lifestyle. Congratulations. That is a great goal to work toward, to get to healthy weights and healthy lifestyles for your wedding, but also for each other. And my best advice is keep that goal for life, because you want to be around for each other. Now, some of the best advice I can give you is to start small. Don't try to do too much all at once. But right now, if you're doing takeout a lot, let's start with some healthy steps, like let's create a grocery list together. What will we do? Have that conversation, because you don't want to be planning these meals that maybe sound good to you, but your spouse is going to despise, and then you're going to start resenting these meals. And then take that grocery list and build it into, let's say, a Monday through Sunday menu plan. This is what we're going to do every day. To truly see weight loss progress, you want to have 7 out of 7 days almost perfect, or at least 6 out of 7.
Yeah.
You don't want to have these fun days or the takeout day. You're not going to see the progress you want. You have to be strict with yourself at first, and then once you get to your goal, you can have moderation. But right now, what do you truly want? You want that good health. And then when you go grocery shopping, stick to your list. Don't find those fun foods when you're at the store. That's not going to help anyone. We always say at Nutritional Healing, if it's not on the list, it doesn't exist.
Fantastic.
Stick with that. And if you are in a situation where you're traveling and you have to stop somewhere, there are healthier options at, let's say, Quick Trip. I know that sounds odd, but there are some healthier options there. Worst case scenario, just stop and go inside the grocery store too. The time that it takes to sit in a drive-through or just run in and get something good for you is going to pay off in the end.
Right. But that is excellent, Natalie. And what Kim has said is so true. Plan, and then stick with it. And the way you can stick with it, I think, is write everything down that you eat. Everything. And don't even leave anything off. Because at the end of the day, your plan and what you actually ate, including those quick snacks that you're like, oh, that's not going to make any difference. make a difference. And so, is there any way, Kim, to avoid feeling hungry while you're losing weight?
Yes, and that is something where, like you're saying, write it down in a food journal. I'm a huge advocate of a food journal and having someone that you are showing it to, whether it be you, me, your spouse, someone that's going to hold you accountable. But on that food journal, make sure you're writing down. So look at that day: breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner. Fill in each one of those blanks so that you're staying full, and that's going to prevent this "I'm hungry" or this mindset of eating healthy is going to be depriving. It won't be. You're actually probably not eating far enough. And once you really write it down, it puts it into perspective. I just wasn't eating the right things.
Right. Well, I imagine if we drink as much water as we're supposed to,
yes.
we're less hungry.
That
right?
will really help.
Yeah, absolutely. My goodness. And so, thank you. And so, the next question is from JC. With PCOS, what's the best thing to eliminate from the diet? Well, I have my answer. I think those sugars, those carbs, JC, because with PCOS, it's just so difficult because of your metabolism to lose weight already, and your body with its hyperinsulinemia just wants to convert those simple carbs into fat right away. And so, but I want to have Kim's more elaborate take on this.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Even the healthiest person, if we were seeing them, they should stay away from processed foods and the simple carbohydrates and the simple sugars. I would say the white sugar is so inflammatory, but also the healthy forms of sugar, let's say honey, let's say agave. When you put that into your body metabolically, your body doesn't know the difference. It's sugar, it's sugar, it's sugar. So if you are a sensitive person who's struggling with PCOS, don't do that to yourself. You have to be a little bit more strict. And going back to my point with the other question is reducing those grains. Not going low carb. You need your carbs from fruits and veggies and healthy beans and legumes. But it's the pasta, the bread, the cereal, the crackers, the cookies that we're putting all our food in and on that just metabolize down into simple sugars. And those aren't healthy for us.
Yeah, I empathize, JC. Obviously, I don't have PCOS, but you're looking at a guy who lived off of 12 Krispy Kreme donuts one day and didn't eat anything else. I love my carbs as the next person.
We all do.
But for the long run, this is the way to go.
Yep.
From Carly, I have unexplained infertility. We've been through dozens of different tests to figure out why we haven't been able to conceive, with no real answers. I have often wondered if I might have endometriosis though. I have pretty heavy painful periods and acne that flares up with my monthly cycle. My doctor is aware that but has never recommended testing. Should I be pushing for endometriosis testing before we pursue intrauterine inseminations or in vitro fertilization? Thank you, Carly, for that question. It's right up the alley of what I deal with every day, Carly. Yes, you should be pursuing that. The challenge, Carly, is that 25% of people actually have no symptoms of endometriosis. And I've taken out 20, 30 sites, lesions of endometriosis on people before who had negligible symptoms. But you, in fact, do have symptoms. There are those who believe that if you have tried fertility therapies for 2 years or more, and it has not worked, okay, then like Clomid or Letrozole or something like that, and it has not worked, that you have endometriosis unless proven otherwise, as long as the basic evaluation has been completed, that the semen analysis is normal, the tubes are open, and that has been proven, and you don't have an ovulatory dysfunction. And so yes, this should be pursued. The challenge is that I used to think that it was 9 out of 10 doctors were unfamiliar with how to diagnose and treat endometriosis. I've concluded I was wrong. I think it might be closer to 999 out of 1,000 are just not in tune with how to diagnose it and treat it. And so I think the questions need to be asked. However, you need to be your own advocate. And if things aren't making sense to you, then it may be worth a trip to the Kalda Center to find out whether you have it or not and the implications of that. One of those being subfertility. Thank you for that question. And here we have one from Anonymous. Hello, I would like to hear what things a man should avoid in his diet, especially a man with low sperm count and motility. Thank you. Well, right off the bat, I can tell you that if you enjoy your beer and you enjoy 12 of them a day, that's not a great idea. So sperm takes about 60 to 70 days to develop, and whatever's going on in your life, the gentleman's life, that about 2 months later is going to affect their sperm count. And so every little bit helps. And but once again, I'll hand it over to Kim and see what she has to say about male subfertility.
So that's a great question. I have a couple thoughts on that. First and foremost, if we see a patient that's struggling with this, I would say your number one place to start is looking at food sensitivity testing, because for women it can help drastically, but it can do that for men too, for the motility of their sperm count, their level of sperm they're producing. And then you can really hone in on, okay, of my diet, what things are causing the inflammation that I should stay away from for a couple of months, because your white blood cells, your immune system is causing that inflammation, which is causing you to be off. And if you're wanting to be at your best, that's the most detailed, accurate place to start. For some general guidelines, absolutely agree with the alcohol. Going back to processed foods, again, when you're eating that, your body metabolically knows what carbohydrates, fats, and proteins are. It doesn't know what processed chemicals are. So that's going to be storing in your fat cells, it's going to be storing in your liver, in your muscle, and it just doesn't know what to do with those ingredients. When your body is storing that and is inflamed, men tend to produce more estrogen. So things are off. So stay away from processed foods. Sugar, again, it's one of our number one enemies. Try to reduce the amount of gluten, dairy, soy, obviously, and then alcohol for sure.
Yeah, and I want Kim to elaborate on the food sensitivity testing that Nutritional Healing does, because the food sensitivities are not the same for everybody, and it can have profound impact on your feeling of well-being, not to mention your sperm count, if you can figure it out and then eat the right things for you specifically and not the wrong things.
Yeah. I love the food sensitivity route because it, again, if you find even the best anti-inflammatory diet, you might still be eating the wrong things on there. Even healthy food, a little bit of poison can still be poison. So if you do a food sensitivity test, what we're essentially looking at is your white blood cells response, its immune system response to different foods that you're eating it. Now, you don't have to be eating any foods for them to show up. The way we test, it just looks at everything that may or may not be a sensitivity for you, and it categorizes it into how mild, moderate, and severe it's responding with your immune system then when you're eating it. Now, sensitivities are so different than an allergy. Think peanut or shellfish. You know if you had that, you were born with it. Sensitivities develop over time because your immune system runs into different things like stress and toxins and gluten and surgeries over the years, and that breaks down your gut health. And so then white blood cells and toxins, endotoxemia, are getting into the bloodstream, causing you your symptoms of, you know, infertility and the sperm count might be down. So when you reduce that inflammation, stop pouring gasoline on the fire, as I call it, your body acts the way it should. And that applies to whether you're a male struggling with this, if you're a woman with PCOS, endometriosis, infertility issues, all encompassing. It's your specific medicine, and I'll tell my patients, do you want to walk to your goal or run to your goal? And this is how you run there.
Well, fabulous. Excellent. Thank you, Kim. Hey, just a reminder, if you would like to set up a time to speak with us at the Kalda Center, you can call us at 920-886-2299 or visit kaldacenter.com. You can also contact Nutritional Healing at nutritionalhealingllc.com or 920-358-5764. We have a question from Tashonda. I drive for my job and can't bring a lunch with me. I'm down to eating from gas stations like Quick Trip. How can I eat healthier while working? Wow, well, we actually are great enthusiasts of Quick Trip. Tell us, Kim, about that.
What a great question. It's so funny this came up already. And you know, Nutritional Healing's been around for 9 years, and I've seen such enhancements with healthy foods and options out there, but also things like Quick Trip. Again, it sounds funny to say You can find things there, but you really can. If I'm on the go, that is where I stop. I do not do McDonald's. I don't do fast food. Those are still those processed ingredients. But if you go into a Quick Trip, they have like a little island center, and hey, I'll take a small island inside Quick Trip of health food where you can find healthy nuts and seeds, almonds, pistachios, hard-boiled eggs. You can find mozzarella cheese, Greek yogurts, fruits, veggies. They've got a whole tray of like broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, celery.
Yeah.
Those are great options. Hummus for beans, which are difficult to find.
Yeah.
The water, you can't go wrong with a bottle of water, so you will find what you need there. Just stick to that healthy center. Unfortunately, the rest of the place is going to be filled with nonsense. But
Right, the monster drinks.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Ice cream.
Don't pick that up, though.
Great question.
Mm-hmm. Hey, and we have a question from Christy. Can endometriosis reoccur after having surgery to remove it? Yes, Christy, it can reoccur. And the thing is, as we talked about, there's a strong genetic component, and also there's an autoimmune component. So every woman has that retrograde menstruation where it goes backwards through the tubes when she's having her period. But only 10 to 15% the immune system does not clear it out. It's also thought that there's an embryologic predisposition of the peritoneum, of the lining of the pelvis, for endometriosis. And if it's removed before the age of 25, then it is more likely to come back than if it's removed already totally expressed itself by the age of 25. So there's a hypothesis that if you remove it after the age of 25, it's less likely to come back. And it depends on the kind of surgery. Obviously, if you're trying to preserve fertility, then by all means, ovaries, tubes, uterus must stay. And yet endometriosis can be very effectively treated with excisional therapy. And I'm not telling someone who's 21 years old suffering with endometriosis. I've seen plenty of stage 4 endometriosis in 21-year-olds and younger, and that should be treated. But it's more likely to come back unless you do something to prevent cycles after you treat it if you keep the uterus. And obviously, a hysterectomy, let it be clear, Christy, a hysterectomy is not treatment of endometriosis. It drives me quite mad. I see people every single week who are suffering and have not had alleviation of their suffering because they've had a hysterectomy and they were told that it will take care of the endometriosis even though 20 or 30 lesions were left behind and they are still miserable. So, yes, it can come back, but in different rates depending on the kind of procedure and what is done after the procedure to prevent it from coming back. Thank you, Christy. Kelly is wondering, I am about 8 weeks pregnant with our rainbow baby. Congratulations. For various reasons, I'm not ready to tell my colleagues that I'm expecting, but we have a work retreat coming up where there will be happy hour. How can I partake in the team building without being obvious? Wow, Kelly, I empathize. Oh my goodness. So there could be, okay, there's happy hour. You can always say, I prefer my own beverage and bring your own without alcohol in it. I can't encourage you to participate in alcohol at 8 weeks gestation, certainly. And so I think that might be the way to go. Or you can go ahead and order a drink, but at the end of the evening, the only thing that's going to be touching it is your lips. I mean, you can do that too, because especially women more than guys, they're going to notice if you're drinking alcohol or not, and they're like going to be, oh my gosh, are you pregnant? That's going to be one of their first questions. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Kim?
This is funny. My colleagues and I were just talking about this today, how it's so challenging in the state of Wisconsin that this is the norm, and it's abnormal for you to say no, or even if you're not pregnant, to say no. Right. It's like, what's wrong with you?
Right.
And I was like, nothing, I just don't want anything tonight.
Like,
and the extremes that we have to go to keep the secret. And congratulations on the baby news. And I would do the same thing you said. You can carry one around if it's true alcohol, but you shouldn't, just like your lips touch it, no drinking. Or I've heard that people sometimes call ahead to the bar and say, I'm going to be wearing a certain color, and I'm going to order a drink and it needs to be non-alcoholic. And people do go to that length, and if this is really important to you, that's what I would do.
Oh, I love that idea. Oh, fantastic. Thanks, Kelly. And we have a question from Chloe. I'm about to turn 40. Are there different foods I should be eating as I get older? Oh, my goodness. Chloe, I think in general, a healthy diet is the way to go, but this is really the perfect question for Kim. So I'm going to let her answer that.
Well, happy early birthday. 40 is a big step. And I would say as you're getting older, this really could apply to anyone listening, but if it's something you're really wrapping your head around now with your nutrition for best health, again, staying as anti-inflammatory. And what I mean by that is staying away from the processed foods and sugar, again. But think about what you're not getting. Go through your day, and this might sound simple, but the science behind it is so profound that think about what amount of color you're getting in your day. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. Try to make sure you're eating at least one thing from each of those colors. It's not as easy as it sounds for myself either. We're actually not that deficient in green food. You know, you think of your spinach salad or throwing some lettuce on a sandwich, but we're actually over 80% of the population is more deficient in blue food. And as we age, we're seeing such a decline in brain health. So your purple cabbage, your blueberries, plums, those have the antioxidants helpful for brain health to keep you vital. So think about getting in all the colors. Fiber is also a benefit of that. More plant protein and additional to animal protein too.
Well, excellent. And one of the things that I get this question so frequently is that, doctor, I'm eating just like I used to, and I'm gaining weight. That's not fair. What is going on there, Kim?
I hear that too. You know, every day at our clinic, a lot of people say I'm hardly eating anything, or I'm eating how I used to when I lost all this weight early on in my life. And what's wrong is you've metabolically changed since your 20s. You can't eat that way anymore. No. And when you were, let's say, in your 20s, and you did lose a bunch of weight, if that was the case, or you saw more progress, you know, you had less fat tissue, you had less adipose tissue that is creating excess estrogen. And as you age, we all put on more. It's just going to happen. You can't restrict to hardly eating anything as you get older, because metabolically you have more muscle, you have more fat, and you do have to support it with more food. That's the number one mistake, is we're not eating enough. We're trying to restrict, and we think to get weight off, I have to eat less, and it's so not true.
Thank you. That's so insightful. Fantastic. And we have the next question from Stacy. Can you please speak more regarding sweeteners like honey and stevia in place of sugar? Also, regarding caffeine and fertility. Oh, do you want to take that one on first?
Definitely the sweeteners. I alluded to this earlier, but when we are consuming sugar below the neckline, metabolically in the body, sugar is sugar is sugar. Whether it be high fructose corn syrup, white sugar, corn syrup, regular, honey, agave, it's still going to produce the same metabolic action in the body. Some might spike stronger than others, but it's just, if you're trying to stay away from sugar, just stay away from all of it, even the natural sources. And you see those healthy energy ball recipes made with honey, that's still so much sweetener for you. If you're going to do anything to have a little bit of sweet, I would do minimal amounts of stevia, because it is based from a plant. Think of like pepper as a plant, you know, and that doesn't do anything to the body. Stevia is the same way, and if you overdo it, it's bitter, so you can't really overdo stevia. So you can have a little bit of that, you get the same sweetness effect, but there are no caloric impacts from stevia. So, but still don't overdo it, you know, because that's still not retraining your taste buds to eat without that sweetness. And then caffeine in and of itself with fertility, even in my notes for clients, I would just stay away from caffeine. It is very tough on the body. I know caffeine is an addictive source. It's not easy to give up in your diet, but it can be inflammatory. And if you're struggling with infertility, wouldn't you want to do as much as you can to cut out, you know, what might be causing it to be off? So my best suggestion if you're trying to get pregnant is to avoid caffeine altogether.
Well, excellent answer. Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
All right, it looks like we are out of time. That went by so fast. Thank you to everyone who joined the conversation. If we did not get to your question, we will follow up with you in the next few days. Kim and I will try very hard to do that. A quick reminder that if you'd like to speak further with us at the Kalda, go to kaldacenter.com or give our office a call at 920-886-2299. Thank you, Kim, for joining us tonight. That was a special evening, a lot of excellent information. If you'd like to contact Nutritional Healing, visit nutritionalhealingllc.com or call 920-358-5764. And we must have you back soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.